The LA Rams went 10-7 last season. They lost to the Lions in the wild card round, and it was close, 24-23. Sean McVay is back for his 8th season, which is hard to believe. To win the NFC West, the Rams are plus 325 to win the NFC. They're 12-1 to win the Super Bowl. They are 30-1. Regular season win total set at 8 and a hook. The over juiced to minus 155. The under is plus 130. And Chelsea, once again, it's Sean McVay's team. It's Matthew Stafford's team. There is a lot of offensive talent, particularly when it comes to the receiving core and the running backs here. This was a good Rams team last year, not a great Rams team. I will say this, Sean McVay, it's fascinating that 2 years ago, what was it? He almost walked away from football, almost retired, and then decided, you know what, I want to stick around, and did a very, very good job last year of taking the talent on that roster and turning them into a good outfit.
Yeah, if you look at the win total for last year, it was set at 6.5. And that team, with that amount of talent, got to 10 wins and nearly knocked off the Lions in the postseason. So I think when you look at teams, you start at the top. And the most important duo in all of football is your starting quarterback and your head coach. And quietly, I think people forget that the Rams still have one of the best duos in all of the NFL. Maybe Matt Stafford is a little older, but Sean McVay, the resume is, preceding him here. Obviously, he's won a Super Bowl. Same goes for Matt Stafford. And also, he is great at getting the most at, whatever the talent is on his roster. And plus, this Rams team, a team that famously once said, F them draft picks, actually has been drafting really well. Look at what they got from Puka Nacua, somebody who was not a first-round talent, but yet had over 1,400 receiving yards. They combined that with Cooper Kupp, who I know people are kind of down in fantasy this year, but still, the guy still had one of the best seasons ever as a wide receiver. It's hard for me to believe that, everything's completely devoid from Cooper Kupp. He's certainly going to be a difference maker in some of these games. I think you look at the defense, and that's where the questions really start. Of course, Aaron Donald is going to leave, an unfillable hole for this Rams defense, a former defensive player of the year. But here's the thing. I think in the NFC, no matter what your defense looks like, you still have to have the offensive firepower to keep up with the teams in the NFC. Because look at the top teams. You have the Niners, who averaged 29 points per game last year, the Lions 27, and the Cowboys, even though usually not a factor in the postseason, averaged just shy of 30 points. So I know that defense matters, and I know that this is going to be the problem probably with the Rams, but still, at least they have the offense that can keep pace with some of the top-end teams. So for me, the bet is going to be the Rams to make the postseason. I'm not sure if I have faith in them in this, schedule that's really tough.
Yeah.
But I do think they can get the job done just enough to make the postseason because I believe in Sean McVay and Matt Stafford.
I mean, it's a pretty cheap price. Yes is minus 115. No is minus 105.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that a bit, particularly when you're talking about Sean McVay. I just think he's one of the better head coaches, one of the best head coaches in the NFL. He's already proven that. He has a ring. I worry a little bit about the defense, and they did a nice job in the draft. You're absolutely right when you talk about the Rams saying F them picks, but then they go out and they get a couple of Florida State guys who played together in Tallahassee, and Jared Verse, Braden Fiske, so they bring those guys in who already have a natural chemistry to sort of fill that hole on the defensive line. But, man, replacing Aaron Donald, you just can't do it. And I wonder how much that hole, if you will reverberate throughout the entire defense. We're talking about, arguably a top 10 defensive player in the history of the NFL, Aaron Donald, and then just retires at his peak, right? We never even saw a drop-off from Aaron Donald. It was just, I'm going to dominate for a decade. I'm going to be one of the best to ever do it. And I'm going to walk away at the top of my game, which to me is the dream, right? The last thing people remember of you is, oh, yeah, I remember the last time I saw you. You were still kicking everyone's ass. You were amazing. And so it's hard. It's really hard to quantify. You can say, oh, we drafted some guys to replace him. That's all well and fine. But you can't replace a guy like that. And he's such a disruptor that I think we'll see the defense take a little bit of a step back, and also the secondary isn't great. That's my worry with the Rams. But you're right when it comes to their offensive firepower. They can hang with most anyone in that division.
Yeah, but that's the problem is that they're going to have to score a lot of
Yeah,
points.
they are.
But I think that they can do it. I will say the Achilles heel is if Matt Stafford gets hurt, I think they may be cooked.
I'm a big believer in Cooper Kupp this year. And
Yeah.
you can get over 6.5 receiving touchdowns at plus 105. Even when he's been marginally healthy, which has been a big question mark over the past couple of seasons, he's been really close. He played in 9 games in 2022, got 6. Played in 12 games last year, got 5. But here's the thing. He finally got completely healthy at the end of last season, had 4 touchdowns in 5 games. He also racked up more than 100 yards receiving twice. So I think he's closer to getting back to that 2021 form when he won the Triple Crown. And also, Puka Nacua is still banged up right now, has a knee injury. He may not play in week 1 against the Lions, which means more targets and more of a possibility for a quick start to the season for Cooper Kupp. And it's plus money, just plus 105, but I like over 6.5 touchdowns for Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I feel like the market is too low on somebody who had
Yep.
one of the best receiving seasons of all time. This is the guy that won the Super Bowl MVP, and he just finds ways to get open. I know Puka Nacua is the hot young thing, but like you said, he's been banged up going into the season. And plus, you can't deny the chemistry that Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp have. So I feel like in this offense that everybody can eat, there's going to be enough passing to go around. It's still going to be a passing offense. So I think any bet that you like on Cooper Kupp, I think some of these numbers are too low, whether it's the touchdowns at 6.5 or the receiving yards at 975.5. If Cooper Kupp can stay healthy, I think he's going way over that. But for me, I think the best bet to make on the Rams this year is for them to make the postseason, because Sean McVay is going to find a way to get it done. And it's only minus 115 for this Rams team to make the postseason. And I'm not going to say that they're going to win the division, but I do think maybe San Francisco could take a step back this year with all the contract disputes that they have going on right now. Trent Williams, I think, is the biggest one. He makes that entire offense go with the presence that he brings to the offensive line. So I think I'm going to go Rams to make the postseason.
One of the best defensive players ever. Easily a top 10 defensive player. I'm not an expert when it comes to NFL history. I don't think that's an overstatement at all. So they did a nice job of bringing in Jared Verse and Braden Fiske. They played together on the line at Florida State, and I kind of love that because they know each other. They have that chemistry. They played in tandem, and they're going to put those guys right there on the line. And hopefully that will lead to Kobe Turner continuing to have a good season. So they'll be stout on the defensive line. But when you have a disruptor like an Aaron Donald, a guy who routinely took on double and triple teams, you can't replicate that. You just can't.